Good afternoon, girls. How are you all? Grade 9A. Hello.
Fine, teacher.
Thank you.
Miss. How are you?
I'm also fine. Today, I will explain chapter 19, selection. Chapter 19, there are two parts. One is variation and one is selection. Variation I have completed. So today, I will explain selection. So what in this chapter, we will discuss about natural selection, artificial selection, theory of evolution, the differences between natural and artificial selection, and natural selection with example, artificial selection with example. These everything I'm going to explain that today's lecture. So what is natural selection? Yesterday, I explained that a few questions about natural selection and artificial selection. So I will repeat again so that you can understand it more clearly. So when nature or external environment select the best adapted organism, this is called natural selection. Natural selection depends on the variety which results from competition, leading to survival of the fittest, leading to evolution and selection. I told you that whenever some of the organisms naturally, okay, they are having some advantageous trait. From birth, maybe that characteristics was not expressed in their parents, but it came to the offspring. So sometimes this advantageous trait help the organism to survive better compared to its other species. So this advantageous trait holder or the person who is more hardworking. Do you know that one thing is clear, that the more hard work you are going to do, your
Good morning,
body,
Miss.
good morning, Nashita, your body will get adapted with that thing. See, if you are not doing any exercise, very early stage, you will be sick. You will have joint pain and many other pain also will be there. And even the exercise boost up your immunity. So if some of the people, they have, that they got this advantageous trait or this extra that fitness from the birth, some of them they have achieved by hard working. So the people, those who are hardworking, or the people, those have some genetic protection, they are best adapted compared to their other species of the same generation. So this organism will be selected by the nature. See, the same thing happened in COVID-19 patient also. Those people are affected. Everyone is not dying. Maximum, the recovery rate is very high. The death rate is very low actually. So if you are that comparing this, why the people are dying and maximum people are surviving also. Actually, the people, those who survive, they have good immune system. Even you are thinking that means that young people have more immune system compared to old people. No, 102 years old patient also have survived from this, 91, 102. So these people have, they survive from this, that viral effect. It means even though they are old, they have good immune system. And to boost up your immune system, you cannot create your immunity, that good immunity 1 or 2 days. It's a practice, guys. It's a series of practice. So yesterday I read an article, they're telling that the refined sugar, we should not take refined sugar, refined food also, like pasta, pastry, cake, biscuit. So this type of refined flour item also should not take. And also too much red meat, too much fat content food, fried food, the deep oil fried food, these all are not good food. So if you have habit of taking healthy food regularly, fruits, vegetables, and you are doing minimum half an hour daily, weekly, 5 days exercise, your immune system will naturally to be good. It's not so hard. So whenever you will be fit for the ecosystem or fit for the environment, so if the natural calamities or disaster comes also, it will not affect you, because those who are not doing, they will be the person, they're the vulnerable people, those who are affected with this all disaster. Same thing happened in this viral outbreak also, the pandemic situation. If you see that, this is the reason. Now and sometimes what happened, that in natural ecosystem, the food resources become less. And this is a very common thing. And after this that pandemic situation, the second wave, so the scientists are telling that the pandemic is not coming alone. It brings lots of miserable things for us also. First, see that pandemic, now all the people are thinking about what will happen. Survival issue is the first issue, right? So when this pandemic will be finished, because most of them will get this disease, and they will right now I have seen that before studying this class, I have seen that those people have survived. Their blood serum, they are giving to the affected people, and 20 patient has survived with that by using this antibody. Because those who have survived, they produce the antibody, right? So this that blood serum, if they are giving to the people, those who are not patient, they're surviving. So, girls, after this pandemic, then you will be seeing the job problem, poverty problem. And then when the many people will be jobless, they will not have food. So lack of food will increase the crime. So the social structure, there is a chance to break down. So pandemic is not coming alone. It is bringing so many things together, because now everybody is thinking about their life. After that, see, think about your condition also. You did not give assessment. Bio, I couldn't take any assessment. So the day it was Thursday, and that day school has closed. We don't know. So immediately when school will be open, you will get a huge pressure of exam. That's why you have to be ready from now. So when any ecosystem that food supply is less, in that time competition will increase. So those who are fit, those who are strong, they will fight with other organisms, and they will get the food. Others cannot get the food. I told you yesterday that if you are entering a room, suppose there are 5 chairs, 10 students. So whatever you are doing, fighting, competition, running, but 5 students will sit, 5 students has to stand up. So when the competition occurs in natural ecosystem, those who are strong, those who are fit, they will survive. Those who are intelligent also, because how to protect themselves from the predator, they are doing so many things. There are so many camouflage processes they're applying to protect themselves from the predator. Predator needs prey, prey needs to save from the predator. So in this thing, those who are fit, they will survive. Those who are not fit, they will not survive. And the survival strain will be selected by the nature, because they will survive more, they will reproduce more. The offspring they are producing, they will send their advantageous trait to their offspring. Their offspring will also survive more, and they will give these characteristics to their next generation, and slowly that this advantageous trait will be a normal characteristics which has been replaced by the previous characteristics. Now, see that what is the theory of evolution by natural selection? Individuals within a species are slightly different from each other, which is called variation. That's true. Even though we are human beings, we are same species, but we have a lot of differences. The differences among the all organisms, even the same species, same group, this is the variation. And variation is a common thing for all the organisms in the environment. So if the climate change or food supply changes, food shortage occur, this individual possessing some of this variation, the organism, they have some of the variation which help them to survive better than others. Some organisms can survive with less amount of food also. Many plants, they can survive with less amount of water. So if the conditions become dry, the plant, those who need more water, they will die. The plant, those who need less water, they will survive. So some of the that characteristics, the individual possessing some of this variation, which may better, this help them to survive better than others. And I told you that, and also that some of the organisms have a habit of taking different types of food. Suppose one organism have a habit of taking meat, fish, even though if the situation needed, this organism can take the plant product also. So if any food shortage occur, as the organism have alternative food sources, if the meat is not available, he will try to catch fish. If the fish is not available, he will eat the plant product. somehow he will survive himself. But if the organism have a habit of taking only meat, and the meat sources has gone from the ecosystem, that organism has to migrate from that area to find new area where the food will be available, or that organism will die. So because have a habit of taking one kind of food increases the chance of extinction, and have a habit of taking different kinds of food increases your survival rate. And if one variety lives longer than other, so the organism, those who are having this advantageous trait, they will survive more. And their offspring will have these characteristics. And you can ask me, so all the offspring will have these characteristics due to this Bises and all. If all the organism don't have these characteristics, those who will not have this advantageous trait, they will die again quickly. But those who have this characteristic, they will survive. If some of the offspring inherit allele responsible for the variation that help the patient survive better, they will live longer, they'll reproduce, they'll pass their allele to the offspring. I told you that scientists are finding so many different things for this pandemic situation. And yesterday I read another article. They are telling there some people have genetic protection. So meaning sometimes, some diseases, some people are affected, some people are not affected, because some people are protected through their genetics. So many people have genetic protection also, which help them to survive better than others. So if these organisms are complete their reproduction, they will pass their advantageous trait to their offspring. Those who will get this trait, they will also survive more. And over time, you'll be seeing this advantageous trait holder people are becoming more in the society. And over 100 years, 200 years, it can replace with the original characteristics also. So over time, the particular variety will increase their number, and finally, it will replace the original variety. This is the theory of evolution, girls. Theory of evolution by natural selection. Always remember, when nature or external environment select the best adapted organism, this is called natural selection. Now, I want to tell you, what is then describe the natural selection with an example. If I'm explaining this with a specific example, that what is natural selection, before that I want to tell you evolution. See, I that told you before also, evolution, this is a change of improvement from simple beginning and gradual development of increasing complex organism from simpler form. Maybe that primitive species was very simple. Slowly, if you see that that long back, the plant, that wheat plant, grass, the species, their structure was not like the way today. It has been changed slowly over time due to the evolution. And if you, there is a, in the book, there is a question also, no problem, that as the books are not in front of you, I can tell you one thing, that long back, that our that the way the grasses plant, the wheat plant, the way you are seeing today, their structure was not same. So slowly, due to the evolution, okay, the improvement of the crop plants, improvement of the different that organisms in the ecosystem occur, and gradually that they have come with good characteristics from the simple that form. So this changes is evolution. Now, if I'm telling you about antibiotic resistant bacteria, I told you before also that after 2050, the world will face another problem with antibiotic resistant bacteria, because this created by human being. But the reckless use of this antibiotic, improper use of antibiotic causes this resistant strain. What and how it is happened, I'm telling you. See, bacteria also very clever. They are also trying to survive in the host body, right? When the bacteria enter, suppose that some bacteria entered your body, so immediately what happened? Your their protein code is different, so your lymphocytes are trying to understand what kind of antigen they are having. So they are making antibody to kill it, but sometimes they couldn't. So you are getting severe symptom. And bacteria that have cell wall, right? So doctors are giving you antibiotic for 5 days. And whenever this you are taking this antibiotic, This antibiotic will destroy the cell wall of the bacteria, so bacteria couldn't reproduce. So this is the way antibiotic kill the bacteria. So within 3 days, you have seen there is no symptom in your body. You are feeling well. So what did you do? You stop taking antibiotic. This is one of the improper use of antibiotics. Sometimes some people, they have viral infection. They don't need antibiotic because you know that antibiotic have do not have any effect on virus, because virus do not have cell wall. They are acellular organism. So when the organisms are not having the effect of anything, but you are taking it, you are taking antibiotic, but you have viral infection. So whenever you have viral infection, you have to take rest, take good quality food and rest. That's it. Doctor will not give you the antibiotic. But you have taken antibiotic by yourself. Another improper use of antibiotic. Sometimes what happened, doctor told you have to take the doses 3 times a day. It means 8-hour gap. So what are you doing? Morning 8 o'clock you have taken. Then then after 8 o'clock, what will be the, if you have to start 8 o'clock, your first dose, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 4 o'clock will be the second dose time. You are taking night 8 o'clock or that night 3 o'clock. So the gap of this 8 hours you are not maintaining. Another improper use of antibiotic. So if you are doing this all kind of improper use of antibiotic, then what happen, you know, 1 or 2 strain will be in your body. Okay, because you didn't complete the course. Doctor told 7 days to kill all the 1 or 2 strain, but after 3 days you have stopped. So this 1 or 2 strain will change their genetic structure. They will mutate themselves. And as there is no competition, because all the strain of the bacteria has been killed with the antibiotic, only few left, they have changed their genetic structure and they start multiplying and increases their number, and within few days, 3-4 days later, you will feel that you are becoming sick again. And now when you are going to the doctor told why you did not complete the course, take it for 1 more week now, and you have taken, now it is not working because the antibiotic the doctor has given to you for the bacteria has changed its structure, genetical pattern has changed. So same antibiotic will not work on it. Either you have to change the antibiotic or the scientist has to make new antibiotic to kill it. And from you, when you will sneeze, you will cough from your body, this resistant strain will pass to other people. They will have the same problem, even though they didn't misuse the antibiotic. But one person did in the society, from one person it can spread. So, girls, this is the way antibiotic resistant bacteria has come, because antibiotic works by stopping bacteria from forming their cell wall or destroying their genetic information. When antibiotic is given and the course was not completed or improper use of antibiotic, the bacteria will mutate and produce resistant allele, which will reproduce and produce lots of offspring, which all are resistant to the antibiotic. These bacteria can live longer and produce more offspring. Their offspring inherit the property of this resistancy of this antibiotic. Slowly, this variety replaces the original variety. Therefore, it will then be important to discover and use different antibiotics. So see this problem you are creating, right? You people are creating this problem and making this problem for everyone. So girls, this is the way that antibiotic resistance can come. I told you about that Darwin, right? That who has told you that only the well-adapted organism will survive and be able to reproduce successfully and will pass on their allele to produce the advantageous characteristics to their offspring, right? This is actually called process of adaptation. The process resulting from natural selection by which population become more suited of their environment over many generations, and that characteristic will establish to the offspring. So this is the process of adaptation, and finally organism will get this adaptive feature. And you know that many years before, over the many million years that living things have existed, million years before, there have been a gradual change in organisms and also populations. Fossil that fuels that many scientists, they have observed the fossil fuels. This fossil fuels tells that, especially they're not fuels, fossils, not fossil fuels. Fossils tells us, there are many fossils, the platypus, and there are many small the creatures, fossils also, and big that organisms, fossils also scientists have got. So these fossils tells us that many animals and plants that once lived, but now there is the related organism also is not present in the world. They are not exist. They have extinct. So in the 19th century,
platypus
living. This is living, but it is giving lots of the characteristics about the previous organism. Platypus is telling living fossil, but there are many that fossil, that stony structure they have found, right? Lots of animals fossils they have got. So when they have analysis and doing the test of these fossils, they could understand primitive time, okay, million years before, the organism structure, organism characteristics, because sometimes it matches with the present organism, sometimes it's not matches. So they're trying to understand what was the primitive organism's structure, characteristics, their way of living, food habit, everything. Because in 19th century, several idea was put in forward to suggest how this might be happen. By far most important suggestion has come from Charles Darwin. I told you, he has told that he wrote a book, the name is that Origin of the Species. It was published, the date most probably 1859, so far I can remember. And Darwin's theory of how evolution could have happened, I can survive, I can tell you the short way if I tell that he told that first variation occurs. Most of the population of the organism contain individual which vary slightly from one to another, which vary, not vary, which vary slightly from one another. Some slight variation may better adapt some organism to their environment than other. So Darwin told one point is variation. Then that he told about overproduction. Most organisms produce more young, then they will survive more. Then he told about the struggle for existence. Because population do not gradually increase rapidly in size, there must therefore the considerable competition for survival between the organism. Of course, there is a competition, right? And after competition, survival of the fittest. Only the organism which are really well adapted with the environment, they will survive. Other couldn't be able to survive. And these advantageous characteristics will pass to their offspring. And in this way, over a period of time, the population will lose all the poorly developed individuals. Please try to understand, girls. Over time, the population will lose all the poorly developed individuals. The population will gradually become better adapted to the environment. The theory is, this is the theory of natural selection, because it suggests the best adapted organisms are selected to pass on the characteristics to the next generation. Understood this natural selection and the theory of this all. And I have told you that if I'm going to talk about that Darwin's theory of evolution, that theory of natural selection, I want to tell you one more thing. Just let me open the textbook. If we are going to talk about Darwin's theory, so that Darwin's theory of natural selection provides a good example for our observation of many types of animals and plants. Okay, but it is not like that only he told about the human being, he told about them for many plants and animals also. Now, see that he told that, for example, it can help us to understand some changes that have taken place in the species of moth in Britain and Ireland. He has given these two examples. The papered moth, which name is Biston butularis. This is one kind of moth. This lives most part of the Great Britain and Ireland. It flies by night and spends the daytime and resting on the tree trunk. It has this type of that moth. It has speckled wing, so that it can camouflage very effectively on the trunk, especially those who have covered with the lichen. Now people have collected moth for many years. So we know that up until 1849, all the papered moth in collections were speckled. But in 1849, a black or that black color moth caught by near Manchester. It means they have changed their structure, right? By 1919, 98% moth near Manchester were black. You understood, because black were having disadvantageous trait. It is not caught by the organism. How can we explain sudden rise in the number of the dark moth and their distribution of the today? We know that the black color of the moth is caused by a single dominant allele of the gene. The mutation from the normal black allele happen, it can happen fairly, it can happen. So it is reasonable to assume that there have always been a few black moth around, as well as the pale speckled one. You have this same question you have in your past paper. We'll do it. So that if you are looking at the distribution of the pale and dark moth from in 1958, since then the number of the dark moth decreases, because now that is, if the air pollutions are more, okay, so that it depends on the pollution. If the pollutions are more, dark color will not be visible. If the pollutions are less, dark color will be visible. According to that, the number of the organisms are depends on that. The organisms are like that. In your book, in page number 256, they gave you a diagram. Later, you can see this, girls, that equal number of dark and pale paper moths were collected and marked with the spot paint. Understand? Now, there is one tree that equal number of each type of moth released into a polluted area and unpolluted area. Polluted area looks black, unpolluted area looks white. And later you will be seeing that after a few days later, flying moths were captured using the light trap. The most of the recaptured marked moth is in the polluted wood were black, and unpolluted was light, because they can camouflage by themselves with this color. So the color which can camouflage nicely, they were not caught by the organism, they will survive, and their number will be more. Even though that you have released same number of moth in the black area, it means polluted area, and the light area, it means unpolluted area, you will be seeing that black area, the black moth number is more, and light area means unpolluted area, that light color moth is more, because they can camouflage themselves in that condition nicely. Now, so this is all the story about the natural selection. Now let me tell about artificial selection. Girls, what is artificial selection? Artificial selection is the method used by human to produce varieties of animals and plants which have been increased for economic importance. This can be done by crossbreeding strain with desirable desired characteristics, or by producing new strain of good plants by vegetative propagation. If you go through the YouTube, you will be seeing lots of vegetative propagation video, and then they are doing it, even that grafting, cutting, there are so many methods also they're using to get the crops. Actually, this artificial selection completely done to fulfill the human requirement. Nature is not involved here. So organisms, those who are selected naturally, they have some variation, they have some adaptation. So these organisms are fitted nicely with the environment, but artificial selection organisms are not like that. As they have selected by human for their economical benefits, these organisms do not have any advantageous trait. These organisms do not show the variation, and these organisms sometimes couldn't survive properly also. extinction, there is a high risk of extinction of artificial selection organisms. But natural selection organisms, they are showing variation, they reduce the risk of extinction. So this is the, if I'm telling you another important and common question in past paper, describe the differences between natural selection and artificial selection. So natural selection means when nature or external environment select the best adapted organism, which is known as natural selection, and they have a greater chance of passing their genes by the best adapted organism through the reproduction to their offspring. But artificial selection, it is the method used by the human to produce the variety of animal, and they have planned, the human being, they have planned this reproduction process and the selection process to increase their economic importance. Our characteristics that is described or desirable to human will not be allowed to pass on to the generation. Sometimes it depends on how they need or what the human being want. And variation in natural selection does not put the risk of extinction. Artificial selection puts the risk of this species to an extinction, because sometimes this crossbreeding and this all do not good or healthy for the organism, so they're dying. And natural selection always, it contributes to the evolution of the new species, but artificial selection does not contribute to the evolution of the new species. So these also one important thing, girls, that natural selection, again, if I want to tell so those genes are provide advantage to cope with the changes in the environmental condition, like when there is less resource and these all, they can survive well due to this variation. But artificial selection, as it is caused by the human to produce variety of animals and plants, they have increased their economic importance. It is considered a safe way of developing new strain of organism compared with the genetic engineering, and it is it is a faster process also. The natural selection, the natural selection is a slow process that you can understand because it happened naturally, but artificial selection is faster. But artificial selection remove variation from the population, leaving it susceptible to the disease and unable to cope with the changes of the environmental condition. Potentiality, therefore, artificial selection puts the species at risk of extinction. Always remember these all, then you'll not forget what is the differences between natural selection and artificial selection. I have explained that antibiotic resistant bacteria as an example of natural selection. Now I'm going to explain you selective breeding, which is an example of artificial selection. What is selective breeding? Selective breeding is an example of artificial selection. It involves human selecting individual with their desirable features. These individuals are then crossbred to produce the next generation. Understood? So this selective breeding is an important part of any breeding program. Is the selection of the desired varieties. The largest fruit on a tomato plant might be picked and its seed planted next year. In the next generation, once again, only the seed from the largest tomatoes are planted. Eventually, it is possible see, you understood what I want to tell. Largest fruits on the tomato, those, whenever you will plant the tomato, some of the tomato will be big in size. You have to pick that. So that largest tomato seed will plant in the next year. From then again, you will select the largest tomato from there. Eventually, it is possible to produce a true breeding variety of the tomato plant that forms the large fruits. Now, slowly, the result of selective breeding, by using this selective breeding, the desirable quality, flavor, and disease resistance, these all characteristics will come to the plant because you have selected, you have plant. Selected, you have plant. Similar principle you can use for the animals also. It means desirable characteristics like high milk yield, resistance to the disease. You can select the cubs from the cow that give large quantities of the milk. These cubs will be used as breeding stock. Girls, I have less than 1 minute. I'm coming back with the selection again. I'm giving you the new link. Just a minute. Good afternoon, girls. We are going to start our second session. I was talking about the selective breeding. So if I'm going to talk about the process of selective breeding in animals, see, suppose I gave one example of the cow. You can, that same example you will be used for other organism also. A variety of cow may have a higher than average milk yield. Select the cows for breeding on the basis of their milk yield. It means that cow which is producing the more milk, you have to select that. And then select the cow for breeding on the basis of their milk yield. Allow only high yield yielding cows to breed and allow them to have their cubs. A male that was born to a female with the high milk yield, it means the male in the family of the male, their female members also will have the same high milk yield characteristics. So choose a bull from that family. Allow this male to mate with the cow giving with the high milk yield. Repeat this process until you are not getting the desired characteristics. It means until you are not getting the calf which has given you more milk and more meat. So this is the way that you have repeat the breeding process. And slowly, finally, you will get the offspring which is giving you more milk also and more meat also. So this is the process of selective breeding in animals. And if I'm going to tell process of selective breeding in plants, first you have to choose the plant with desired feature. What kind of feature you want, you have to choose the plant with that feature. Now you have to cross the plant by transferring the pollen grain by using paintbrush, artificially with your hand. Paintbrush, you can finish the pollination. You know the pollination, the transfer of pollen from stamen to pistil. So it happens naturally, and here you will do by yourself. Or then after that, you will collect the seed from the plants and the germinating seeds, and then check the plants. After collecting the seed, you will plant them. And when they grow up, you will check the plants, which one is showing the desired feature. And the desired feature plants, you will select and you will collect the seed from them and you will plant them again until that all the plants are not having the desired characteristics. So this is the way process of selective breeding in plants. So actually selective breeding, this process is known as artificial selection. It has been going on for thousands of years, ever since humans first began to cultivate plants and for domestic animals also. It works in just as the same way as natural selection. But individuals with advantageous characteristics breed, while those who are disadvantaged, that is not selected. But natural selection, it happens naturally, but here artificially human beings are doing for their benefits. Now, however, see, when humans are think that the desirable characteristics would often not to be all the advantageous to the plant or animal that it was living in the wild. Some of the advantageous trait or help organism to survive better in the ecosystem, but that is not so economically benefits for the human being. So we'll not choose this. We'll choose the one we need. So that's the reason that these organisms are not that fitted in the ecosystem. Modern varieties of cattle, for example, selected over 100 years for high milk yield and also fast meat production. I have told you this all. Some farmers are now thinking differently about the characteristics that they want in their animals and the plants. So even they have made the changes with the desired characteristics of the crops also. Girls, this is the selective breeding process. The principle is similar like natural selection. So selective breeding if you are thinking that in a farm stock, you can slow down, because actually girls selective breeding program is very expensive. It is economically benefited, that's true, and it gives you the product first, that's also true, but selective breeding in farm stock can be slow and very expensive, because animals are often have a small number of offspring and that you are breeding in once in a year. By producing new combination of the genes, selective breeding achieves same objective as genetic engineering, but take much longer and it is less predictable. So girls, genetic that engineering I didn't explain. I will explain in my next class. But before that, I have to finish the past paper. So the notes I have given, I already explained that question number 7. Now I want to talk about question number 8. Wheat is attacked by many different pests, including a fungus called yellow rust. So first question, describe how you could use artificial selection to produce a new variety of wheat plant. Thus, this type of question can come for other example. I have given here example of the wheat plant. So what you are going to do, that farmer, they will grow the wheat in the condition where it get affected by the rust. Normal condition, they're affecting with the rust. Now, they will be seeing some of the plant, even though in presence of rust, they will survive. Few. So collect the seeds from any plant that don't get infected or not harmed with the rust. Now, grow this seed and repeat for several generations, each time picking out the seed from plants that are least affected by the rust. So suppose this year you have planted the seed in presence of rust, so you have collect the one who is not affected. Next year, that seed you are planted. So again, you are increasing the infection on that because it's an investigation in that area. That area you have increased the amount that rust, the more. You will be seeing after increasing also some of the plant of that wheat plant can survive. So repeatedly, like 2-3 years, if you're doing, you will get one strain which is very resistant with the rust, and rust couldn't affect on them. And then this variety, if you are planting, you will get more amount of crops. So this is the way you could use artificial selection to produce a new variety of wheat plant. Actually, you can use this process for getting any new variety, like selecting and cultivating, selecting and planting next year, selecting and planting next year, until you are not getting your desired characteristics. Now, they are asking, second question number B, when resistant varieties of wheat are produced, it is found that after a few years, they are affected by the rust again. Why? So you got that rust resistant species. You have planted them, you have got huge amount of wheat, economically benefited, farmers are earning money. But after a few years later, you are seeing that plants are not saved by themselves. It is affected with the rust again. See, that rust also, they will see the disease causing pathogen. They will be seeing that they couldn't infect the wheat plant. So they are also changing themselves. Some of the rust organism may have variation that allow them to infect in this resistant wheat plant. So don't you think that only you are changing the rust plant, that pathogen also changes. This will have selective advantage and be more likely to survive and reproduce, passing on their gene for this characteristic to the next generation of rust fungus. Over time, most of the rust fungus may have this gene and be able to infect the previously resistant wheat plant. Now you have to do this selection process again to save the wheat plant. Otherwise, they all will be affected with this virus. You understood? So why that wheat is attacked by many different pests, which is that one of the pests including a fungus, the yellow rust. Due to the fungus, it happens. So when the resistant varieties of the wheat are produced, it is found that after a few years, they have infected again. And why this fungus can affect and destroy the amount of wheat, and the production will be less, the farmer that will be not benefited. This is the complete loss project. So why? I hope you understood. Is it okay, girls? So the whole selection I have explained. Do you have anything to say right now about this selection chapter?
Maybe no.
Question, girls?
No, miss.
That's why I did not start the past paper. I told you, because these 3 chapters are closed: inheritance, variation, and selection. Yesterday, one girl told me to explain about this Down syndrome, maybe that twin plus 1. See, I told you that sometime during meiosis time, chromosome couldn't separate properly. This faulty segregation, one gamete contained 22 chromosomes, one gamete contained 24 chromosomes. instead of 23, 23. When this 24 chromosome combined with the another gamete, the zygote forms, it gives 47 chromosome. So this is 46 is the diploid number of the chromosome, which is, we call it 12. And when you are giving it one extra chromosome, it will be 12 plus 1. So that is actually trisomy 21 we are telling, and this presence of this extra chromosome gives unusual characteristics of organisms. So girls, this is our selection and variation chapter. Now I am asking you few questions. See that, girls, capital T shows tall plants. Capital T, small t also shows tall plant. So their genotype and their phenotype is not same. But, sorry, their genotype is not same, but the phenotype is same, right? What is phenotype and what is genotype? Hello. Strange, girls. When I'm asking question, everybody become quiet.
What is
genotype and what is phenotype?
Wait, phenotype.
If you don't want to talk, you can write the answer also, girls. No problem. What is genotype and what is phenotype? Yeah, I understood you were going back to your copybook to check the answer where it is written, right? I'm hearing that you are turning over your pages. Oh my God, that's inheritance. Where is it? Where is it? Did you get the notes? Yeah, did you get? Then read.
So, you said Miss T capital and T small, and then you said T capital. No, wait. You said T capital and T capital.
Yeah, I want to make you confused. So that, see, I told you capital T, if the phenotype is tall. Capital T, small t, phenotype is tall. It means genotype is different, but phenotype is same. So what is genotype? What is phenotype?
Genotype is...
Arey girl, genotype is a genetic constitution. Genotype is a genetic constitution of an organism, and phenotype is the external feature. Okay, genotype is external feature. The feature that expressed the characteristics which shows on you.
That is genotype, right?
That is phenotype. The characteristics, expressed characteristics, that is phenotype. And genetic constitution. That's why sometimes I told you a heterozygous organism had that gene, but it is in recessive condition. So due to the dominant allele, it is not coming out. But sometimes it is coming to the offspring. Now, one more question. Could you please tell me the reasons of variation? You and your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, you are not looking same. There are a lot of variations between, even though you are from the same family. What is the reason of this variation? Just give me the name. Yeah, turn over the pages of your copybook quickly. Tell the name. What could be the reason of this variation? Even though you are in the same family, right? You are siblings. You are your parents.
Variation, I don't know.
What is the reason of this variation in your family? So someone wrote the answer. Let's see.
Mutation?
Yes,
nope.
Mutation. She's right. During meiosis time, it can happen. During fertilization time, it can happen. Or your lifestyle. The variation could occur due to lifestyle also. Now.
But is it mutation, like it's when the copyright of chromosomes go wrong, right?
Not all the time wrong. I told you there are 3 types of mutation. One is good, one is bad, one is neutral. If the mutation is that bad, sometimes it is not. Not carried. It is not selected by the environment, because the mutation is which is not good for the organism, which is not helping to survive. Then that will not be selected naturally. Do you know that that some of the mutation occurs in your body cell. Please, girls, tell me, somatic cell mutation will pass to the next generation or not? Yes or no?
Yes, it will.
Somatic cell mutation will pass to the next generation. Then tell me, what is somatic cell mutation?
Wait,
Somatic cell mutation, it's body cells.
So
Right?
it will never pass to the next generation. Body cell
That's
problem
why, yes.
will not pass to the next generation. Gamete mutation, because when the mutation occurs in gamete cells, in every cells of the developing fetus will have that mutation, because it affects the individual with same genetic disorder, and it will pass to the next generation. Somatic cell mutation means when the mutation occurs in somatic cell, like body cell, usually resulting in killing the body cell only, and do not affect on the future individuals, and it cannot pass to the next generation. So girls, somatic cell mutation will not create problem for the offspring, but gamete mutation will be there. So I have explained here two types of gamete mutation. If the mutation that makes the changes in the DNA base sequences, that is called gene mutation, and it gives you that less alteration. The effect that is less. This type of mutation, gene mutation, actually it gives that alteration, small scale alteration. But when the chromosomal mutation occurs, means that this involves change in the structure of the chromosome or loss or gain of the chromosome, it gives serious alteration in the characteristics. And this one of the example in your syllabus, that is that I have explained. Now, girls, one more question that I have told about sickle cell anemia. I hope you can understand this sickle cell anemia, and this is the very common question in the past paper, effect of sickle cell anemia on the body. That also, you know, that red blood cell will be distorted because it has less hemoglobin, less efficient at transporting oxygen, which causes less respiration and less energy. Yesterday you answered this question very nicely, so that's why I'm not asking you again. And the patient become less active, feeling tired, breathless, or susceptible to infection. Capillaries are blocked due to sickle-shaped red blood cell and causes pain. It also produces and causes slow growth of patient, and the person may die before puberty. So that's the reason sickle cell anemia, as normally the people are dying before puberty, they couldn't complete their reproduction because they couldn't be able to reach to that age from which age organism could start the reproduction. That's why this is not coming, this sickle cell anemia is not coming to the next generation through the recessive patient, but from heterozygous it could come. If both the parents are heterozygous, 25% child will have these characteristics, and that we know, right? So girls, this inheritance, variation, selection, we have completed. Now, next class, we are going to start past paper. So you will be ready with paper 4, part 1, part 2, both. Don't tell me, Miss, I don't have paper 4, I don't have part 1, I am not ready with part 2, please girls, okay? Because next Sunday you have a class with me, I'm going to solve from the beginning. That your past paper, you have started with 2006, 7, 8, right? Which year you have started, approximately?
Yes, 2007.
7, 8, like that. So from the very beginning, I will start. So after completing this, I'm going to start paper 6. Then I will come back with genetic engineering. 2 topics left in our syllabus.
Miss, are we doing any latest papers?
I will try to do all, okay, better.
Okay.
So I will inform you, don't worry. First, the Hababi past paper you are having, I will solve that. Then I will give you time for the recent variant. You will get it ready, then I will do. In between, I will solve past paper 6.
Okay.
Okay, girls, any question from this, that 3 chapter? Actually, I have completed chapter 18 and chapter 19. Chapter 18, inheritance, and chapter 19, variation and selection together. So if you have any that topic that you did not understand, you can ask me. Do you have any question, girls?
Miss, if I have any questions, can I ask you later in the next class?
No problem. If you are thinking that you have some question, but you are not ready to ask, next class also you can ask, no problem.
Okay.
But I want your active participants of the class, and you will inform me, Miss, this is the problem. I don't understand. There are many students which are not coming to the class regularly. And this, I don't know what will happen. Anyway, thank you, girls. See you next week. Okay? Bye.
Yeah,
See
bye
you too.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye everyone. Bye.
Bye,
Bye
bye,
everyone. Bye, Miss.
Bye.